Good morning and welcome. I'm going to start with a quick clip from a show that we did, which is phones versus AI versus video calls. And before I start the show, I wanted to send out a quick prayer for all the people struggling for freedom in Iran. Obviously, there's a lot going on there, but hopefully they win that battle.
Text them because they're probably reading the text message with the phone in their hands.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a mindset built into it. Hopefully, I've answered your question. We usually follow up with an email to just to recap the conversation, because this way, if the customer would prefer to not have their cell phone in their hand and they're at work and they can hide from their boss and send an email, we can communicate via email as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Bill. Hunter, what do you think?
Yeah, so first off, just quick introduction. My name is Hunter Swift, and I just recently joined a new startup, a Swiss company called AGI Go. As a lot of you guys know, I've been in the auto industry for about 20 years and really excited to work with a company that will begin selling to enterprises, advanced conversational AI technology product to allow software companies to build off of our advanced conversational AI. So as we're talking about voice and chat and text, we're definitely going to be something that can help a lot of these companies take their products that they currently have and advance. But, as you ask the question about like a preferred method of contact, I think what Derek said about meeting the customer where they are, I think that's a great starting point.
Yeah.
But something to add on that is meet them at a place that can accomplish the goal that they're trying to accomplish. I think too often we try to provide customers with experience. For example, because we don't have people that can answer the phone, we say, hey, let's try to put everything online. And then you have, you're pushing customers online, you have these online portals, you have these different tools that are set up. They go through all this process and they can't accomplish the tasks that they are setting out to do and then have to call. Or if you have somebody that's going down a particular path and then you say, okay, well, in order for you to do this, we now.
Well, here we go.
The Auto Hub Show. War is tough, but peace is about thinking ahead of the challenges and getting it done.
There are lots of experts in automotive who talk about the problems. The Auto Hub Show is all about solutions. Ready for the solutions? Let's get this masterclass started live right now.
If you look at the last 4 years, Ian, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged instantly.
I've been fortunate enough to be using Numa since square one, but my opinion, I like to meet the customers where they are, because if I choose my preference in terms of how I want to communicate with people, I'm going to eliminate a large portion of my potential customers. Customer calls in from the outside. There doesn't have to be a person on the other side of the conversation, and it will be a transcribed, recorded transcription of the message, which is important, and it's real time, 365 days a year. So we don't lose anything. The customers that prefer the phone and the customers that prefer the text may be two different people, but the nice thing about like Numa as an example is you got both of those people in one spot.
Hey, I'm Vince Delmonico, General Sales Manager with Cruise Ford Lincoln. Larry Feldman came out and did one of our training courses. Absolutely incredible. I sat through the course myself. The engagement that our salespeople gained from it, the excitement that he brings, it was a new way of looking at things that we're already doing and how we can improve them. Love it. It's literally the best thing since sliced bread.
My name's Fareed Ahmed. I'm the founder and CEO of DSMA. So why should you use DSMA to sell your most valuable asset? The answer is very simple. It's our unparalleled approach to our clients' needs and satisfaction. Remember, DSMA, we're real people doing real deals.
Meta, Instagram, social, and your team is still waiting for ups like it's 1999. Let's be honest, your market isn't watching TV commercials, they're double tapping and engaging with your competitors on social media posts. People are shopping these days for cars and servicing their vehicles in between watching cat videos. That's where we can help. Retail Resilient is the go-to authority for social selling in the car industry. Whether you're a new car franchise dealer, an independent, a buy here, pay here, a broker, a dealership owner or manager, we have something for you. Remember, when your lot is quiet, it means your social media is not loud enough. Check us out at retailresilient.com so we can retarget you on our social media feeds.
All right, and good morning, welcome, and happy Monday. So, as I guess discussed a little earlier in the pre-show, the show today is about AI or robots or agentic AI or predictive analytics. But let's start with, is AI the answer in 2026? Because we know that's going to be a challenge as dealers look at all the AI solutions out there. So let's start with sponsor of the show, Larry from Numa. Larry, are you there? You're muted right now.
Love when that happens. Thanks, Ian. So appreciate you having me on. Got a lot of great guests on today. Yeah, I think, depending on the challenge that you're trying to solve in 2026, that AI can definitely assist, right? It just depends on, what you guys have set for what you want to achieve in 2026. But, if you're looking to bring, more customer contact, accountability, visibility into your business, yes, it's here and it's here to stay.
And tell us a little bit more about Numa.
So Numa is kind of interesting. We're a 9-year-old company, but been in the automotive space for the past 4.5 years. We don't do anything besides automotive. So we were one of the first companies to, jump into the automotive space. We're also the first company to offer context-aware voice AI, which can basically, measure the customer satisfaction in your store on a daily basis, right? It's for the survey to come out. But it also connects the customer with the team member. We take a humanistic approach with our AI. We're not trying to replace your humans. We're trying to create efficiencies and make everybody, do their job better, right? So
Fantastic.
A little bit about Numa for you.
Fantastic. And we have the other Larry, not to be confused, the Larry Feldman with the Larry Stanley. And it looks like you have a subtle tie on today, Larry. Is that like Rolling Stone stuff on there? What's going on? I know you're an AI, but go ahead.
It most certainly is, sir. And I'm going to concur with Larry's wise words. I say it wherever I go because I'm usually approached by AI guys. As long as AI is used as a tool rather than a crutch, I'm happy with it. If it augments what salespeople and managers and everybody can do, I love it. But Larry, I've been doing this forever. And when I got into the business, they started printing out inventories on white pieces of paper. And some of the idiot salespeople would say, "Oh, sit down. Let me pull this thing out of my back pocket and we'll talk about what I have," rather than taking them out. It became a crutch rather than a tool. So as long as we use it to expand our capabilities and make life easy, I'm all in. If they think it's going to replace people, that's a bad mistake, right?
Love the new hairstyle.
Won't we all agree that AI could never be as difficult and as much of a pain in the neck as salespeople are? How are you going to replace that?
Fantastic. So thanks, Larry. So we have Terry on. So Terry, introduce yourself and answer the following question. Is AI the answer? What do you think?
Yeah. So again, thanks, Ian, for posting this event. I think it's very timely with NADA coming up. Everybody's looking at, AI and last year was a big start out. So this whole last year, but I'm CEO of FlexPath DXP. We provide identity verification with credit pre-qualification with just a phone number. So we don't actually create AI. We work with AI companies, which is actually a lot of fun. But so is AI the answer? So what I believe and what we're seeing is the data that AI has access to needs to be accurate, clean, and trustworthy. And if that's the case, then you're going to get better answers out of AI. I know we're going to talk about other questions about, do we replace humans with AI? We'll get to that later. But I would just say real fast is GIGO, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So clean data, trustworthy data is going to be critical for AI in 26.
Fantastic. Jeremy, what do you think? Introduce yourself. Give me the answer.
Yeah, first of all, thanks very much for having me. I'm Jeremy Adams.
Yeah, please. Thank you. I'm not.
Go ahead. Sorry.
All good. Vice President of Digital Services and Analytics with the Steel Auto Group, where I support fine folks in technology and data and AI and whatnot. I also teach at the University of New Brunswick in their business school, so really honored to be here. Is AI the answer? That's a tough question. It depends a lot where people are at, but I think I agree with Larry and Terry that it can definitely support and augment, but shouldn't be seen as a silver bullet. And I think we'll flesh that out as the conversation goes on.
Thanks for that. Adam, it says Adam and staff. Who's that? Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah.
You got your people with you? Is that what's going on? All right, go ahead.
They're all in the background just telling me what to say.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm Savvy Dealers where I'm from. We've done about 13 years. We've done dealer marketing, we do dealer websites, and we do lead attribution. So that's the area we focus on heavily. I'm going to answer this partially. The answer for AI is definitely good at reading reports and pulling reports off of your desk and having an agent actually go through all these dashboards in 2026.
Right.
I think it's also, I agree with what everyone said. We've got a bunch of bad data, and AI can't understand bad data versus good data. So we're struggling, at least on our side, making sure we've got clean information going in. If you want an AI to answer a question whether the car is actually ready for a test drive, you actually have to know that that's true, or if it actually has the features it has. I think there's going to be some areas where people push AI way too far. We've had some major pushback we've seen where people have had AI answering the phones, answering the chats, and it's gone a little wonky. Where it's just not quite, it's answering questions wrong. So I've had a lot of dealers who dip their toes in and pulled back. And I just think they got in a little early on some of the functionality.
Fantastic. Dave Perry.
Hey, Ian. Great to be on the show today.
No worries.
For Blink AI, I'm the CEO of Blink AI. We are more on the fixed ops side of the dealership than we are on the sales side. But the way we look at it is that the dealer has kind of become a bit of the center of the universe. I mean, you can make more money, on a vehicle over the life of that vehicle, and you can set yourself up for resale of a new vehicle. But just that service that you lend to that customer during that period of time, it's really a extended period of time to build trust with the customer. And so whether 2026 is the time for AI, I would say absolutely. There's really some good points here about the data absolutely has to be correct if you're giving advice and so forth. And if you got bad processes, it's just going to make those bad processes happen much quicker. But as long as you're thinking of AI as an enabling technology, and it's not a toaster you go out and buy and plug in, and it's just there running for your dealership, then it absolutely is the time for AI right now, because it's doing some really tremendous things in customer engagement, extending the relationship with the customer, creating better customer satisfaction, driving more repair orders into the store. We've effectively been able to figure out how to solve the last mile of telematics using AI. So now we are dropping lots of volume into stores using telematic alerts as the precipitating event. So yeah, we're totally into AI. We have been for several years, and we just look for 2026 to be just the next big iteration of that.
Fantastic. Ron, AI, tell us what the magic answer is. Crystal ball.
I don't think there is a magic answer. Hey, I'm Ron Scarrato from 360 Auto AI, and it's funny. The comment from Adam, it does hit home about how AI can be wonky, but I look at it from a dealer's perspective, and if you think about what the AI is doing for you now and improving upon what you have in place prior to AI, that wonkiness is very small. It's minute. Dealers have a tendency to point out the defaults, but you've got to turn around and say, look, you're getting, 35% more of your calls answered and booked appointments than you ever would have with your human beings in your staff. So it is, I think, a definite need for 2026 and going forward. And I agree, it's not going anywhere. I think the use of agentic AI and all kinds of AI inside your dealership is going to turn. It's going to be like the DMS. You rarely change it. Very few dealers change their DMS. They're in it for a long time because it's hard to change. When you start using AI the way it's meant to be used and realize that it can continually, especially with what we're doing, which is totally autonomous, level 4 AI, is it continuously learns and improves upon itself. And it reacts and reflects what your customers are asking when they talk to it. So yeah, I don't think they're ever going to get rid of it. And I think it's definitely a necessity for 2026.
Thanks for that. Mr. Bill Harvey.
Thanks so much, Larry. Great to see everybody. I'm a proponent of it, and drinking from the same Kool-Aid that everybody else is. How we've integrated AI with helping dealers, their novice and struggling sales staff get better, as well as the rising stars and their high achievers, is we do a fantastic job as teachers, trainers, speakers, authors, talking at people. We've now integrated AI into our system whereby the salesperson can do training, real training. So they can learn from us, but now role play with an AI bot. And we're super excited about our latest and greatest innovation. It's just about ready to launch by the end of the month to be up and running. The salesperson can reverse the role. So we built it. It took 8 arduous months to get every single objection in and how to overcome it on role playing with the robot, salesperson to robot. Now we flipped the equation because a lot of salespeople in our test said, be great if I could be the bad customer, and see how the bot would make those recommendations and suggestions to overcome my objections. So that's our version of integrating AI as most effectively as possible.
Thanks very much. Peter, any thoughts? Is AI the magic bullet?
I think AI can be the magic bullet if it's applied properly. I mean, I've been seeing, because what we do at Texas Sky, helping market to the industry, we've been getting a lot of insight to a lot of new clients and what they do. And the key is, and I think everyone kind of reiterated it, AI is not going to replace people, but it can make people more effective. And one of the areas that I'm excited about AI is in service, because even just using AI to handle the calls that the service advisors are normally bogged down with. So the service advisors are not answering and scheduling appointments or is my car ready? And a lot of the new AI programs can actually do that. It gives the service advisor the ability to actually spend more time with the client on the drive and make more money for the dealership. So if it's done properly, it's going to be phenomenal. But there's a lot of dealers that I think are looking at AI as a way to replace people, and I don't think that's the case.
Fantastic. Jeremy, I mean, you're in the dealership world. You're dealing with AI. What's your opinion on AI and enhancement? And to Peter's point, do you think it will replace people?
Yeah, it's I do a lot of work in other industries as well, or had historically, and I think it's pretty universal that folks tend to have a hyper romantic view of what AI is going to do and what it's leading to. And they think at some point they're going to be able to hand over the keys to the dealership and this will run everything for them. And I think it's going to lead to disappointment, for the dealerships, but also for the customers if you take that view. And I think the wiser path is really iterative and intentional steps towards augmenting the processes you have in place. And a couple other people have said that already. Supporting your marketing and your social teams, supporting your contact center. There's a lot of off-the-shelf stuff that's available already. And in parallel to that, as you're taking those baby steps, if there's an opportunity that you can elevate dealership performance at the same time you're elevating customer experience, I think it makes a lot of sense to take those steps. There's a great startup out of Israel called Vulture that's trying to service automotive groups by keeping them within that ecosystem. So at the same time, reducing marketing spend. And I think that's a great approach. But as to, reducing headcount, it's definitely possible, but I worry about that approach because regardless of industry, there's really 2 plays with AI. Either you elevate the customer experience, improve your long-term customer lifetime value, awesome opportunity to do so. You have them as a repeat customer, or you can try to automate away human beings at the dealership and grind down costs. And I see the appeal in option B. There's a lot more certainty there, and you can pay an agent half of what you pay a human and avoid all the, complexities associated with that. But you just need to be mindful that you're automating the parts of the process that are friction for the customers and not the parts that they enjoy, and continuing to dehumanize what is a very human transaction, I would say.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Well, Larry, maybe you can comment on this, since I was there sort of witnessing an install last week in the Vancouver market of Numa, and sort of, I guess maybe you can talk a little bit about the initial reaction from the people on the ground, and then sort of what happened a couple of days later.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I mentioned the humanistic approach that we take, and to Jeremy's point, having been in the in the trenches for 36 years before coming over to the vendor side, it's all about that relationship. And as our industry has changed since the pandemic, and we've had a lot of turnover, things like that, those relationships have had to start over, especially in sales and service, where we saw the highest rate of turnover. But yeah, we were at a high volume Toyota store in the Vancouver market, and it's always scary for employees, right? Doesn't matter if it's a DMS change, a CRM change, a phone change. But we went in, and the service director there was like, yeah, everybody's a little uneasy about what's going to happen. Within 2 days, we had advisors telling us that the technology that we had installed had saved them an hour and a half, 2 hours per day. And I don't remember if it was Bill or who mentioned, giving the efficiencies back to these team members to be able to do their job. We think service advisors are the busiest people in the dealership, right? They're customer facing 15, 20 clients a day. They have no time to create better communication. And if we can give them an hour and a half back a day, imagine the amount of status updates that they can actually make versus not making. As well as communicating those upsells. So it's all about creating efficiency with the team members, whether it's in the sales department, the parts department, the coordination team for service, the sales BDC, or the advisors.
Thanks for that. I have a question. I have a lot of comments from LinkedIn. One of them was, which company was offering AI role play for sales consultants? And I'm not sure if that's something you're doing, Bill, but maybe you can comment on that.
Yeah, we sure are, and recognize that really early on. That was the easiest way for us to integrate AI into the whole process, not replacing anybody. In fact, adding more. We look at AI as just like technicians did eons ago when the first adjustable wrench came out, and that's basically the AI. Nobody replaced their wrench set, but they did add to the system that adjustable tool that they could grab very quickly and fit it into that equation. So that's what the AI component of our teaching training system follows up with, because we just don't have enough training. We do lots of speeching and talking and delivering, where the AI component comes along and does that terrific role play equation. And again, the super exciting part for the Auto Dealership Academy is that we've been able to reverse the role as well. So salespeople can, getting frustrated role playing with the AI bot, they can, at the click of a button, become the customer and then suggest the scenario that they want to focus on.
And what's the company name, or where can people get more details?
The Auto Dealership Academy, and that's the autodealershipacademy.com. This is my company, and we're happy to share with you a demo. We also have lots of
not a problem.
Speaking and talking.
Someone's needs to be
that terrific role play equation. And again, the super exciting part of the sounds like me is that we've been able to reverse the role as well. So salespeople can getting frustrated.
There we go. All righty. So let's go on to Mr. Dave Perry. Maybe you can give me your thoughts on speed, sales process, and enhancing sales. What do you think?
Well, I definitely believe AI can be used for a lot of things, including speeding up the sales process. You're not necessarily going to have any individual, go through the journey faster. But if you think about what AI is really good at, it's being able to determine what customer's intent is, and through that engagement, and the way that Blink AI works is we're omni-channel. So we work on on the on the website, on chatbots, on text messaging, on voice calls, on telematic alerts, etc. So we can engage with a customer through all those means, and there's similar means that are purely on the sales side, and understanding when is that person, at that point where they're ready to now engage. I'm doing my, shopping. I'm looking at stats. I'm looking at different cars. I'm not ready to buy yet. And so put me in the hands of a salesperson a little bit too early is just going to waste both of our time. But if you've got lots of conversations going on and your AI is tuned to be able to say, when is this person ready now? We've given them enough information. They've explored. They've maybe gotten some early quotations. Now it's time to make that warm transfer over to that individual to then work on that relationship, develop the trust, get the person into the dealership to drive the car and get the deal closed. And so we see that again, it's got to be the orchestration of all of these events that have to happen that leads up to somebody actually purchasing a car. We spend a lot of time thinking about, well, if your current customer is the best place to go sell a new car, then at what point in that customer's current ownership journey are they going to be prepared to make that next purchase? You certainly don't want to start wooing the customer, getting them back in, after they've had the car for 6 months. But based on what we understand about, what the mileage of the vehicle is, how long they've owned the vehicle, what's been their traditional pattern in terms of trading in vehicles and so forth, then when they bring the car into the shop the next time, then we find that, okay, now's the time to reach out to that customer and arrange a sales visit for them to, hey, check out the new vehicles, see what's going on, maybe get a trade-in value on yours. And we found those to be really highly converting, and they shrink the overall sales cycle for the dealership. So,
fantastic.
So believing that you can speed up the sales process with the right AI tools.
Yeah, because we know that people are always going, am I done yet? Can I get the car? What's going on? That kind of thing is just taking way too freaking long. Terry, what do you think?
Yeah, actually, Dave's kind of spot on there. I'll kind of continue on with what he's saying. As you look at agentic AI and these personas that are being created, they're going to be talking to potentially consumer agentic AIs, right? AI talking to AI. Well, regardless of that, we still have to know who that consumer is, right? We have to know it's a real consumer. Is it somebody pretending to be somebody else? Is it a fraud? Identity verification is the most critical thing up front, because you have to know who you're dealing with. And the second piece of that, again, where we like to work with AI, is what can we do to provide more information to help that customer down the path? What is their budget? Can we find a vehicle that meets their budget based upon their actual credit? So being able to do credit verification or credit qualification with identity verification is going to help eliminate the bottlenecks. It's not going to eliminate salespeople. It's going to allow them to work faster, more deals, much faster, and it's going to help the dealership get more consumers through that process faster, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, there's a new feature, I think, on the new iPhones, which basically pre-screens calls if that number is not in your contacts on your phone. And I guess it uses AI to do that. It's kind of interesting, but obviously it's going to change the game on that. Adam and staff, I'm assuming you have AI on your staff. Adam, what do you think?
So we're working with a lot of attribution at a lot of dealerships, and you're kind of leaning into what I'm running into. Our ability to reach customers with AI or humans is being killed on a phone call basis because of AI working against the dealerships. And I'm recommending to a lot of dealers, pick your personal phone up and call the customers, because as we're testing it, your phones aren't even ringing from BDCs to customers anymore. It's straight to voicemail, and they never check the voicemail. We also did a little experiment. We took AI services that will buy cars, and we mystery shopped our own stores, and we had one bad AI being responded to by our bad AI and killing a deal that never happened. And the customer-facing AI said that dealer was unresponsive. Our AI said this customer never got back with an address. And so, like, not a single one of the dealerships I mystery shopped with the consumer grade AIs even knew at a management level that we were hitting brick walls with these, I mean, AI customers, but like bots are now okay. Like we have their good bots and bad bots, where historically bad bots, block all the bots and our website will be fine. So attribution has been a huge issue of like watching where's our call rates going, where are we seeing a huge drop off in contacting leads compared to 2-3 months ago, and why?
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Peter, what do you think?
I think that the marketing side is very important. And I think what Adam was talking about is important, because we're also going to see that chat and AI is going to be more involved in the actual buying process. And what I'm seeing with a lot of websites for dealers are they actually block any chat requests when you're looking to go review the website. So I think that's a big problem that I think Adam should also address a little bit, because that's a problem. Because if your website, if you're a dealer, your website is not chat friendly, and someone's searching, I want to find a Ford F-150 in Baltimore, Maryland, and it goes to trying to search your website and it's blocked, you're missing that opportunity.
Fantastic. Larry, I got a question for you, Larry Stanley. I got a question from a LinkedIn user on the stream. Where I find so much these AI systems fail is poor integration. Inventory, RO status, RO adapts, enable the write back, such and such. What do you think on that, especially as dealers are trying to choose the right AI? How are you dealing with that when you're talking to dealers?
Well, I think the first thing is we all need to use authorized integration, right? Get to the actual dealer's data through whatever DMS, whatever CRM, whatever service platform they're utilizing. But the real key is capturing all that data and then having a roadmap to that particular customer. We all talk about customer worth. We look at it in our CRM, how many cars have they bought, how much service business have they done. But the AIs need to have that data to work. Now, there's data that we see that is inaccurate, as we all talked about in the initial conversation. And believe it or not, the biggest inaccuracy we see in data is the OE. I'll give you an example. My local Mercedes dealership here in Nashville has been reaching out to me about my warranty expiry. Well, they think I have a 2020. It's actually a 2022. The warranty doesn't expire for another year, and I've got a 7-year, $100,000 warranty on the car. I received 17 text messages from this Mercedes store in the last 30 days saying, "Oh, last chance, let's go." So when you're communicating negatively with customers because of that data, you're not building that relationship, right? We're all about retaining customers, right? Increasing customer satisfaction, dollars per RO, looking for that next sales opportunity, whether it comes out of, the money that you're spending on advertising or, from previous customers that are in your drive that are potentially ready for the next vehicle.
Fantastic. I got a comment from Leela Krishna, MBA. Always insightful to hear from Jeremy Adamson. It's encouraging that human-centric approach remains unchanged. I agree the perspective of automating only those parts that don't replace direct customer interaction or human empathy. At the same time, it's concerning to see how the market is applying these in practice. For example, receiving calls from AI voice recruiter agents whose primary purpose appears to be data collection. Do you want to comment on that, Mr. Jeremy?
I appreciate the compliments. Yeah, I think as vendors and as practitioners, we have a perspective and we have an obligation to optimize our operations. But I think as humans, not to get away from the topic of the show, we do need to wonder and think about where all this heads. And there's there's a happy path where it elevates the customer's experience and gets away the bad parts of interactions, and there's an unhappy path where it takes away all those connections and forces us into back rooms copying and pasting data between AI. So I'd much rather end up in scenario A, where it supports us and helps us, gets rid of the ugly parts of the process. So
And how do you choose the right AI solution? I mean, you work for a significant group. How are you going through that? What's your thinking?
It's that's tough, and I say this with all the love in the world and with respect to my co-panelists, but vendors in this space are more aggressive than I've seen in other industries. So there's two things I would say as a dealership group if you're evaluating. Well, one is definitely to maintain a healthy skepticism. If they say they're going to get OEM approval and integrate into your DMS in 4 weeks, that should be a red flag. I think someone mentioned that on LinkedIn. Integration and data is going to be key. And the second one, and this isn't specific to automotive, this seems to be a direction that developers are moving, is not to be a beta tester for a vendor. So there's a lot of enthusiasm out there, and I find more and more vendors will come with promises and an idea that they've sketched out, and they say you can guide the development of this application, but if you do that, now you're an employee, you're not a customer. So the last one I'll say, and this isn't universal, but for the most part, it should be pretty cheap. Like AI tokens are inexpensive, cloud compute is inexpensive. In the background, these are all context and prompts. The heavy lifting is on that integration piece, which feeds that. So I always encourage people to look for off-the-shelf subscriptions from trusted vendors that add immediate value. And that's usually where I begin the search.
Thanks very much for that. Adam, what do you think? What's your advice to dealers who are saying, hey, there's so much AI out there. How do I figure out what questions to ask and what to choose?
As far as for vendors, I mean, I agree with what everyone said so far, as far as just how you look at this. There's a giant cloud of noise. It's now infinitely easy to call every customer 30 times, so no customers answer our calls. I think for me, saving time is the number one value, and busting myths. So much of the internet's been, everyone's got their crazy idea for what SEO, what actually works in SEO, what doesn't work. The data's all public now. You can ask an AI to actually explain it to you. It will tell you what actually works and doesn't. You don't have to rely on shady vendors that have this crazy idea or this myth or theory. There's case studies, there's real data. And so just kind of getting to the bottom of, are people being sued because they don't have a cookie banner? Is that really happening? We've been all told it is. Google it. Pull all the case study up. I did that on a car ride to a dealership. Give me all the case study of everyone that's been sued because of California law in a non-California state. It's eye-opening.
Fantastic. Mr. Dave Perry, what do you think? Are you there, Dave?
Yeah, I just had to go off mute there.
Yeah,
the point about choosing, what is the right AI. To me, it's like from a dealership's perspective, there's basically two stakeholders, right? Themselves. How do they benefit operationally? How do they benefit, from a business KPI standpoint? And then the other stakeholder is the customer. How does the customer benefit? If it's truly just one directional, one party benefits at the other party's expense, it's probably not a good solution. And then if it minimally impacts both, then that too puts it in that, probably not a good choice category. But if you can simultaneously improve the dealership's business outcomes, improve shop flow inside the dealership, improve the value of the ROs, improve customer satisfaction ratings, lower the time that they spend waiting at the dealership for service to be performed. Those kinds of things, then absolutely put it in place, go with it, choose the right vendor. One of the things that I will say, having not been in the automotive space as long as many of you, but in the auto space, people tend to look at these things as just tools. I'll bring a tool in today, and if it doesn't work, then I'll leave it in the bag and I'll try another tool. And lots of other industries that have benefited much more, greatly from deployment of technology, they look at the future. They look at the company and they look at the roadmap the company's on. They look at, are we directionally aligned, or is the platform safe and secure? Is it going to meet my needs? Does the company have the ability to continue to grow and meet my needs over time? And so you buy into that relationship. I mean, think about it. We're asking customers to buy into a relationship with us, but we sometimes treat vendors as just, replaceable elements in the flow of things. And so I would say, take a bit broader view of it and say, look, I'm going to get in here, but over the course of the next 3 years, this is where I want to get to. Do I want to replace people? No, that's not my intent. But there are things that get displaced in that whole process. You're doing things more efficiently, so the old ways of doing them now are available, that they can be redeployed or reused in some other way. Maybe you train them to do other things, to be salespeople or to work in the dealership in some other way. But this does force a little bit of redeployment, and rather than deny it, I think you just have to own up to it right up front and all go into it with a common understanding of what job are we working on and what's the outcome that we're working towards.
Fantastic. So, Mr. Ron, what's your thought?
We take a little bit of a different approach because what we first look at is the pain points for the dealership and what they really are trying to accomplish when they're selecting an AI company, right? And a lot of the AI out there has been very focused on service, and that was the start of it. And the Numas and the Stellas of this world were the early pioneers and have done a fantastic job. We've focused heavily on sales and ROI and problems. For example, speed to lead. You talked about the speed of the process. There's a couple of different things at play there, right? So on a speed to lead basis, we were set up so any lead coming into the dealership is responded to within a minute, both via email and text to that customer and trying to engage that customer. And then if it doesn't successfully engage, it might try an alternative. It might try to use voice and outreach to that customer via phone call. If they can't reach them at 8 o'clock in the morning, they'll try again at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But it's that part of the equation is helping the dealer from a speed to lead process in answering the leads, which is, every dealer's and every manufacturer is concerned with stop the clock, right? We want to stop the clock. We want to get to these leads quickly. And so that is being a help to the dealer. But the other part is the back end and the nuisance work for our salespeople, right? And we all know salespeople, especially in a busy dealership, you get 3-4 phone calls go out from the salespeople. They don't connect. They're on to the next lead. And we did a test with one of the manufacturers, and it was amazing. We had 468 people that we outreached to. 58 appointments were set between weeks 7 and 10 of the follow-up, which was pretty amazing. So it's actually following what's happening in the sales process. But the difference is these are probably people that would have never been contacted for at your own dealership level with your own people because they just stop calling people after a certain amount of time. But we're finding out with a certain light touch and engagement and various different tactics that eventually they are converting. And it becomes, for the manufacturer that we dealt with, and I won't name names, they're excited and went on and are booking more campaigns with us. And it's amazing, but it's the pain point that the dealer wants. And it's the follow-up for the leads, getting to the leads first, and getting an opportunity before that lead goes away to another dealer. Because people are impatient. They make a phone call, they don't get a hold of somebody, they're on to the next store. Plain and simple. And if we're not doing that, you got your phones on a round robin, and Joe gets the next call and he's out on the lot with somebody and doesn't respond to that call for an hour, you've lost that lead, right? So that's it. That's what we focused on is sales outreach. And and in the future, what's going to happen is it's not just agentic AI, because the AI can do so much more for you as a dealer that it's, everybody is going to be jumping on the bandwagon. Everybody has to be in some form or fashion. And the question is, what's right for your dealership? I think that's what it all comes down to.
Fantastic. Peter, what's your thought? How did he choose the right thing?
Well, before I jump in, I don't want to touch on what Larry said. What Larry said about the data I'm seeing across the board from a dealer standpoint is so critical. And I just want to make sure everybody listening got that. If you have bad data and you're doing bad communication, and that's kind of what we do, we look at the communication, you're actually hurting yourself. I've heard now car stories where dealers are sending out messaging to people, offering them oil changes for their EVs. I mean, literally not understanding what their database looks like. So I think getting the data clean is a very critical thing. But as far as upcoming NADA, looking at all the things out there, I'm very excited about the panel we had because it's a wide variety of people. And the thing I'm taking away from everyone's comments is you have to really understand what your goal is with AI, and then make sure that the vendor that you're talking to at NADA has those pieces that you want to address. So finding the right solution for your dealership is not just like going out there and buying the next shiny penny. You want to make sure you're targeting and understanding what you're looking for at your store to make sure you've got the right data integration and the right tool for what you want to accomplish. And if you do that, you're going to be highly successful.
Fantastic. So I want to go with Larry Stanley on this. Is adding AI a good idea in 2026 or a must, in your opinion?
I would say it's a must. We have the opportunity to talk to 2,000 dealer partners, on a monthly basis. The new products that we're bringing to market, discussing those products, seeing if they're, a viable fit for the problems that our dealers are facing in 2026. And I truly believe that they are, and I think it's a must. So the one thing I did want to comment, there were a few things that came up, like robocall from the person that chatted in. We don't do robocalls. And having been a former owner operator, I would never allow an AI to call out on my dealership's behalf. I think it's just bad business. Going back to the data being good, our system has guardrails that, with our context-aware voice AI, it's never going to send that communication out to a customer that isn't directly related to their automobile in the dealership, right? Whether it be a sales opportunity or service or parts opportunity. So be really aware of that. And then I have to jump, guys, but the last thing I'm going to kind of throw out there is, I've heard everybody say, know who you're getting into bed with when it comes to AI. The big question is your data safe, right? Is your customer data going out to, any type of AI and now being owned by that particular, sourced AI? So be careful. That's all I got to say. And I appreciate everyone having me on the show. And Ian, have a great day, sir. And I'll see you all later.
Thanks very much, Larry. So I want to go with Jeremy, being that, obviously you're advising the dealership group on AI. Do you think it's a must in 2026?
I think it depends where you're at. If I can cheat on the answer, I'd say somewhere between a good idea and a must. If we fast forward, I think we know it's going to be a competitive necessity. You just simply you can't keep up with a competitor who's doing automated financing approvals and instant lead responses. So maybe not in 2026 is strictly speaking a necessity, but definitely demands your attention. And I think Dave Perry mentioned earlier that you need to look at the big picture and take a holistic view of things. I would say 2026 is the year to do a sober assessment of your readiness, plan for advancement, have a strategy in place, and move forward from there.
And is Steel using AI for email campaigns currently? Are you guys doing anything with email and AI like what Ali is doing?
We're dabbling and we're evaluating. So we're somewhere in the middle.
Okay, fantastic. Dave Perry, what do you think?
Well, I think that again, AI is not one thing. It's a technology that pervades lots of things inside the dealership. And so I would say if you're not doing something around AI at some level inside of a dealership, you're just getting way too far behind. And then you're going to have a lot of catch up to do there. You need to start exploring those areas where, hey, what's my biggest problem to go solve? And how do I then apply, technology generally, but specifically around AI to be able to solve that problem? This industry just moves too quickly in many ways. You got a customer base that's pretty finicky, and they're demanding higher levels of service. This isn't, this is the people that if you don't answer the phone, or if you can't take an appointment at midnight, then I'm off to the next thing. Yeah. And so you've got to basically build out an infrastructure that allows people to engage with you 24/7 and be able to conduct most operations anytime, day or night. And I think that's too big of a chore to leave, outside the hands of, technology partners and particularly AI partners to help you with.
Thanks very much. Adam and staff, what do you think? You're muted.
I've figured it out. I think we're all kind of saying the same thing that we've seen. I can't tell how many dealers have come to me and said, I got this new AI system. It's a new chat client. It is going to let people talk directly to my website. And so I was like, oh, okay, let me go look at that. And I say, okay, help me find a new car. What did BMW start at price? I was like, $10,000. Like, okay, that seems a bit off. I really wouldn't have put that live. I said, okay, give me one of these BMWs for $10,000. And I said, sure, please go to HTTPS:/. So I'm like, stop. Like dealers they want the answer. And I think, and we've all kind of said this, but if you don't know the question that you're solving with the answer, they want one throat to choke the AI answer for the dealership, and it's the wrong approach. I think start with the problem and ask if AI is ready to solve it. I feel right now AI is ready to solve staring at 30 dashboards every day to know what's working in which departments. If I give it the right data, it can solve what's really going on with my sales team. I think it's the wrong time to, like everyone said, to have AI call my customers cold and try and persuade them to come in and bring the car in to trade it. It's the wrong time for that. And I think any tool you implement, you better be checking at of what it's actually doing to your customers, because again, we did that mystery shop, bombed at all my stores, and not a single manager knew why that lead had gone wrong. They just assumed it was a bad lead or the customer was unresponsive. So they, like you said, they move super quick and they jump on this stuff because they want to be on the cutting edge. But there's no shortcuts in life. Like you got to do the work.
Fantastic. Ron, what do you think?
It's a must as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you want to be competitive and in the market for this year coming ahead, you have to be in the game in some form or fashion. And you have to look, once again, you have to look for what it is that applies to your workflow, what it is that applies to your goals, and then go from there. That's when you start to evaluate what it is that you actually need. If it's answering the phones is a problem, that's an easy one to solve, and we basically all do that. But if it's, how about if a customer calls in from an auto trader lead and our AI starts engaging with them and actually is able to pull a soft credit pull without infecting their bureau and give them a perfect penny payment on the car over the phone or over text immediately? I mean, you talk about speed to lead and talk about speed to close and getting somebody in the door when they know exactly what they're paying and they have full transparency, because that's one of the great advantages of what AI does bring, especially agentic autonomous AI, is it brings total transparency of the dealership, because people will get the runaround from a dealer. Well, what's this car cost? And you know how salespeople are. They just, they're going to say whatever they want. Well, the AI is not going to lie. It's going to tell you what the cost is. It's going to look at the price. It's going to look at the negotiated, offer after the manufacturer and your discounts. And then it's going to run your beacon, book it out against all of your, captive lenders, find the best one and the best fit, and then quote that person. Here's the payment, and here's the lease payment. And here's what you got to put down based on your credit score. When can I book an appointment? That's a solution. And that's a solution to a problem that a dealer may not have otherwise had without going through a lot of gyrations and a lot of time. And this whole idea is, how do I speed getting that client into my store over everybody else? And that's kind of what we look at, is get the advantage for your dealership. That's what this is going to do, is give you an advantage. And when we get a lead that comes in, it gets passed off. The AI looks at sentiment and intent and keyword. And if it's a hot lead, it immediately pushes it to somebody on the floor and says, you need to put the human touch on this right now. This customer is hot and ready to go. Make the call. And so even though they've had a conversation with the AI, now the human gets in the human in the loop, we call it. The human gets involved. And that's what brings it all to gel at the dealership level.
100%. Bill Harvey, what do you think?
Customer centric, and we've been talking about it without putting a label on it, and everybody is aligned on it. If we take the perspective of looking at it from the customer's viewpoint, and then blend and meld and integrate the AI in that capacity, I think we'll have magnificent success. We won't lose the human component. The consumer won't feel like they're talking to a bot and they're being swindled. as we go forward, and a number of consumers that we've surveyed have said this, these are car buyers, have said, I don't want to talk to a bot, and I don't want to negotiate with a bot. I don't want to buy from a bot, because you can put in all the parameters, you can put in all of our objections, you can integrate NLP, neuro linguistic processing, and be very manipulative and controlling. And a bot can do that. And from a consumer's perspective, I don't want to get caught by that. So the consumer is becoming very aware of what their experience could be going into the dealership, or to any retailer for that matter. It just doesn't have to be the automotive industry. So I would just say that the consumer approach and making sure that we're prepared for their inquiries and questions, and that's what will sell automobiles with predictable consistency and create a legacy business.
Fantastic. Well, we're almost out of time. So final thoughts, start with Peter. What's your final thought, Peter?
Final thought is, I think AI is going to be here. It's going to be a huge benefit for the dealers if they focus on what we talked about today, making this experience for the consumer better. And I want to thank all of our guests today for participating. And for everyone out there listening to the show, please feel free to reach out to any of the guests directly. If you need that contact information, reach out to Ian or myself, and we'll make sure we connect you with them. But again, gentlemen, thank you so very much. Looking forward to seeing you all at NADA, and really appreciate all your time today.
And a special thank you to Casey there. She just jumped on late. Obviously, we'll see you on a future show. Did you have any thoughts, Casey?
Yeah, sorry guys, I joined late. I had a call before this, but Terry told me to join. Yeah, my thoughts on AI, it's a necessary evil. I think it's going to come down to just delicate decision making, and we got to figure out where it fits in the best. So sorry I joined late.
That's okay.
Let me, Ian, real quick, because I know we're getting out of time, but I wanted to really wrap back around what Peter, Adam, and Ron were talking about, because this is really, really important. Dealer websites need to be researchable, not just searchable, right? AI is going to have, consumers are asking questions to AI. You got to surface those answers. And if you're not surfacing those answers, if that AI and Google can't access your website to get that information, you are not going to show up, period. So that's really, really important. We call it search everywhere optimization, Google AI. And so we're creating this payment affordability index, because everybody's not just talking about, well, what's the price? It's really about, can I afford that monthly payment? And unfortunately, I did some tests, and I can share this with everybody later. You know, what's an average SUV for $550 a month? Show me inventory. And no inventory surface, because even if you are showing payments on your website, it's done in a way that AI can't even read those payments. So, or it would tell me, well, go to this website and click on get your payment. I mean, that's a non-starter. So affordability index, a payment affordability index, is something I think is going to be really, really great to provide that truth of what the AI needs to surface to those questions that are being asked.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much to everybody. Have yourself a great NADA. If you are going, make sure to stop by the Numa booth. I'll be there with my beautiful wife, and also I'm sure Larry Feldman will be around, as will I'm sure Peter. So thanks very much for the insight today. And if you are looking for AI solutions, there's lots of options. Make sure you do your homework and make sure it works with your current structure, but get ahead of it, because it's coming in either way. Have yourself a great week. Thanks again.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.